Here we go. I'm sure many are eager anytime Fabrizio Romano posts because it might just be a new bombshell player that changes everything. Just like the inevitable Mbappe to Real Madrid transfer. This summer window broke a lot of new records, and I have to say it's one of the weirdest transfer windows of all time. So let's get into the 6 most weirdest transfers that's in my opinion. And first, let's start off with ex-Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku. The guy who would join Chelsea for around 100 million euros and then just forgot to play football. I mean, he left for a loan deal for Inter during his contract, and I think we all remember his interview where he basically dissed Chelsea and said he wanted to play for Inter instead.
Giusto, non sono contento con la situazione, questo è normale. Nel mio cuore di tornare all'Inter.
Anyways, the man has a knack for following Antonio Conte because he would join Napoli for 30 million euros. Honestly, this is just a weird transfer saga for Lukaku. I can't tell whether he is a meme striker or still the absolute beast he's meant to be. He got so unlucky in the Euros with all the goals that were disallowed, but he fits the Oshimen profile that Napoli were looking for. And speaking about Napoli and Oshimen, this is quite possibly the most interesting transfer of all time. A 25-year-old 100 million euro striker with clubs like Chelsea, PSG, and tons of other European giants that are fighting for his signature, and he decides to join Galatasaray on loan. But how did this all happen? Well, see, Oshimen has been on board with the idea of leaving Napoli for quite some time now, with the owners of Napoli fine with him leaving, but only for the right price, which is around 100 million euros. However, some clubs were lowballing Napoli and they just didn't budge. And up until last season, Oshimen was content at staying because he knew he would be leaving soon. But this was the last straw. Forcing his way out of Napoli, however, it would be too late. John Obi Mikel would say in his podcast that even though they had terms agreed with him to join Chelsea, the medical wasn't able to be completed in time, and the window would shut.
I know what Victor wanted. I know what the club offered him. I know where we got to. We finally got to a compromise. Both sides had to compromise. Paperwork, medical, and few issues that we just couldn't get over the line.
Okay.
And then, we didn't have much time. I think both sides really played their part in terms of getting the deal done. And I commend Chelsea for that because I could see the ambition of where they want to take this club now.
However, the Turkish league window is open for a week longer, and I guess this is the exact reason why. Because Galatasaray would not have to think twice about the opportunity to get Oshimen in possibly the most important and biggest transfer in Turkish league history. This also broke the record for the most expensive player on loan, as he is worth 100 million. And although I have a few questions about this new lineup, as Galatasaray were already stacked on strikers because they just bought Batshuayi earlier this season, and while let's also not forget about their star man Icardi, who has basically been the best striker for the past 2 seasons and the best player in the league. So their striker core was already the best in the league, but I understand if you have a chance to get a world-class player on your team, then you take it, especially in the Turkish league, as he is the highest valued player in the league by quite a large margin and in its whole entire history. And to really put it into perspective, he is reportedly more valuable than 17 out of the 20 squads in the Super League and raised the value of the whole league by 10%. Well, according to Transfermarkt anyways. But seriously, this raises questions for Galatasaray as their attack is amazing, but their defense, well, not so much. Now, let's get past the whole Oshimen ordeal and head to Brazil, where Memphis Depay finds himself heading to. After a decent journey in Spain, where he was starting for Barcelona and winning La Liga, to joining Atletico Madrid, where he was putting on good performances, the 30-year-old Dutch international had interest from several clubs around Europe, but decided to join Corinthians, which is a traditionally elite club in Brazil. But it's certainly a confusing choice, as currently Corinthians are in a relegation race, and although they are playing in the Sudamericana, which is the Europa League of South America, I don't see them winning the whole thing. But now that he's on the team, I highly doubt that they will get relegated. Honestly, I didn't think Depay would leave Europe so early. In talking about leaving Europe, ex-Brentford and England international Ivan Toney had just hit the 20-goal mark in the Premier League, and it was obvious how class this man was, with Arsenal very keen on trying to get him, and of course there were many more suitors. He decided to take the money route and head to Saudi Arabia, where he will join Al Ahly for 40 million euros. And I bet the man is going to be earning a boatload of cash as he's just 28. I mean, we know some players go when they are past their prime, but he was just entering his. And honestly, I don't understand the Saudi League hate. Football isn't a career that lasts forever, so how can you hate on the man for getting a bag? Sad to see him gone from the big leagues, but he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. And since we are on the topic of the Premier League, I have 2 transfers that seem just as weird. And we could start off with Manchester United, and they just keep doing horrible business. With Jadon Sancho leaving United to join Chelsea for 20 million guaranteed plus some add-on fees, and I just don't understand how in this market you could let someone who is as talented as Sancho go for so little, especially when you paid £75 million for the guy just a few seasons ago. Although I would say getting rid of his wages probably played a big part of it, and of course his complete fallout with Erik ten Hag. But I don't even know where he will fit into Chelsea's scheme at all, as their right wingers are already looking promising, with Palmer who could operate there, as well as Madueke. But hopefully he could get back to his Dortmund form. Now moving to Manchester City, who haven't made a big move except for the return of Gundogan after just 1 season at Barcelona, the man had already missed the winning machine that is Manchester City. As I even remember him talking to Arda Güler about how bad Barcelona was in Turkish. I don't think he even realized that someone would translate this, but anyways, Gundogan needed to leave for the new signings to be registered, which is just a terrible look for Barca's financials. And I ask İlkay why he left Manchester City in the first place, because he knows that Barcelona are going through a bit of a project phase, where even though there isn't a trophy drought, it certainly is coming slower than what Barcelona has been used to. And there we land. I know I probably missed out on way more, but I would like to hear your thoughts for who had the weirdest transfer, so please comment that below, and also don't forget to like and subscribe for more football videos just like this one.